How are polygraph lie detectors still used so frequently in the US despite the total lack of evidence in their effectiveness? The results aren't what police are looking for. They are hoping people think they work and use it as a tactic to coerce a confession out of someone. In some cases, convincing someone that they are mistaken about events and should be confessing. They are not admissible in court, as accusing someone of a crime they may have not committed is still incredibly stressful, leading to false positives. Never ever agree to a polygraph test, no matter how innocent you are or how inconvenient it may be. Shut up, lawyer up, and go home. They want a conviction, no matter who it is. They may legally lie to you. The entire system is corrupt and embedded with power-hungry high school bullies with limited education. That is all. You know what's even less reliable than a polygraph? Eyewitness testimony, especially from people who are certain of what they saw. It's a tool to ask a suspect questions that they normally wouldn't answer. Without a lawyer, people want to prove that they are innocent by passing a polygraph test. Police also suggest that if you don't take one, then you have something to hide. It's all theater. The machine doesn't really do anything, but the idea of it can work wonders to shake people up, get them nervous, and lead them to make mistakes if they are concealing something. It's basically just a prop that they use. It would be the same thing if I walked into a room with a big scary tiger and told you it'd been trained to only attack people if they told a lie. That's bullshit, of course, but are you 100% sure it's bullshit? Is it worth the risk of finding out otherwise? That's gonna change how you feel in the moment and affect how you answer my questions. As for the courts, they don't accept the results from the machine itself, because the results don't mean anything, any more than whether or not my tiger mauls someone would. But you're still being interrogated and asked questions, machine or not, so they will accept anything you say or do as evidence. For example, say I hook you up and ask you if you've ever stolen something from work. No beep from the machine. Okay, yes, a few times, but just little stuff like pens. In court, now I can testify that when I asked if you'd ever stolen, you responded yes, a few times. How people's lives and liberty can hang in the balance of a machine? Generally they don't. It's just a pressure tactic to get people to crack. Interrogations have a lot in common with high-pressure sales. You lock people into positions and then it becomes more difficult to reject what they want. Like, we have video, there's no point in denying you whether they don't have video, but you know you were there and think they have video. You would do anything to help us find her, right? Yes. Taking the polygraph would help us eliminate you. You're locked into the polygraph. You failed the polygraph. Look at this line when we asked if you killed her. There is no way you were telling the truth here. BS, obviously. But like the video lie, you did kill her, and it seems like you have to admit to something now. The polygraph generally won't be admissible, but they locked you into a conversational path that seems to be undeniable. You could just ask for a lawyer and remain silent, but a lot of people keep talking. It's part of how they pressured Chris Watts into confessing. It's not just courts, government agencies and police forces use them as well. And unlike in the court system, you can be denied a job or fired for the results alone, not your testimony. This is a great story about a former operator who publicized how unreliable they are and sold lessons teaching people how to defeat them. He was sent to jail in part for doing so. HTTPS. Someone called it the CSI effect. TV and movies have made people believe that a lot of these tools are infallible and absolute. But in reality, polygraphs are fancy heart and skin monitors that aren't even admissible in court. DNA evidence is easily corrupted, fingerprints are shocking, not unique, and they can't ID a gun from just a bullet. And perhaps ironically, most police departments require a polygraph test to get hired. It depends on the state, but I don't know of a state that allows the results unless the defense and prosecution both agree to allow them, and they can't even admit as evidence the fact that a defendant offered to take one or refused to take one. In my state, they have just been deemed to unreliable. The one thing that can be admitted into court is the actual answer given by a defendant to any question. Like, you told police that you've never been in Cleveland, but you said you had been there when taking the polygraph, so why the discrepancy? It's not even lack of evidence. We have lots of evidence that they flatly cannot be relied upon in any sound way. They are less than ineffective. They are trivial for anyone that understands how they work to manipulate. Because it is a great tool for law enforcement. Nothing on a lie detector will exclude you from being a suspect, but it will give law enforcement a reason to focus on you. If you fail or refuse, they will see that as evidence, even though it cannot be used in court. They don't care about people's lives or freedom, and they don't care about the truth. All they care about is getting a conviction, so the case shows as closed. Go look at the Innocence Project, who have freed dozens of people railroaded by law enforcement and prosecutors. Some after spending decades in prison. Don't. But the propaganda, cops aren't the bastions of truth and justice that movies and TV have propagandized them to being for a century. If you think that passing this test will remove you from the suspect list, you are wrong. Americans don't believe in facts and science. I work in criminal defense and we often have clients take polygraph exams. If the client fails, we don't hand it over because it falls under attorney-client privilege. If they pass, we give it to the prosecutor. It's not admissible as evidence. But a passed polygraph might influence a prosecutor to offer a better plea deal. They are meant to get you to change your story. That's all. No machine can read your mind. Keep your mouth shut. Because it's not the machine that's doing the work, it's the person running the test and their skill with the questions. They are used as a head trick people think they work, so a not zero number of them confess to things they wouldn't otherwise. The most prolific use is actually employment screenings for law enforcement and intelligence work, and people admit to some crazy stuff trying to get a job, because they think that if they lie the machine will catch them.